Basically, when we came up with this name, it was really a translation from a Chinese name called Guang Hu Gong, which means chamber of light and energy and space. It's supposed to be a space that's inspirational, that's uplifting, but not in your usual sense of the word, and it's a creative and all-encompassing space. So when we did the English, when we tried to find an English word for it, it's basically we just decided to drop the vowels and have it sound something like slightly older. So that's why it's Arcn Templ, and also visually, I think it looks a little bit more mysterious, I guess. But the idea of temple is sort of there. It's not a temple of worship. It's more a temple for experiencing the universe, maybe.
I think it started out with a project we were asked to do actually by Funk Studio. They had an exhibition, and Melvin had some works of art that he was thinking of having music to accompany it. So we composed an album's worth of music actually, and that was used for the exhibition. And after that, that particular album was picked up by UTech Records, and it was released as a proper album. So that was the early days of Arcn Templ. We didn't really do much after that because we were busy with observatory things, and then I think there was an opportunity for us to improv in Tokyo.
Well, we're doing quite a few theatre soundtracks at that point, and of course for theatre, you know how it works is you have to work with another medium and another art form altogether. So it actually involved a lot of improvising with the actors and with the director and everything. So after a while, I think we really enjoyed that process of working just the two of us. It's pretty easy when it's two. It gets a bit more complicated when more people are involved. Not in a bad way, but it keeps things simple. So we were doing a lot of theatre soundtracks and performing them live. And then after a while, I think we just kind of got quite sort of interested in this improv direction that we were heading towards. So a lot of the theatre plays which we scored for, we just had sort of cues and a rough idea of the kind of stuff we would like to, the sound that we wanted, and then we would improvise. And that worked out really well for us, and I think we released a couple of very informal CDR soundtracks at that point, and I think when UTech picked up Emanations of the New World for his label and released it in the States, we kind of thought, okay, this kind of seems like an outfit now. But then we didn't do anything for a long time, and then I think it was a friend of ours, Yuan Chiwa, he invited, or he said Otomo, Yoshide, and some other people wanted to hold an improv festival in Japan, in Tokyo. And so they invited us to go, and we went, and it was a whole room of different constellations or formations and different groups of people, different groupings, and it was a really fun experience. So, and then I think we're getting a lot more into improv, and that's kind of why Arcn Templ still sort of exists, because we always wanted to do another album. Actually, lately it's been more fun to improv, because you know the immediacy of improv between in a show is really challenging. It's scary as hell, but it's something that we both enjoy, and I think Les has been doing it far more than I have, but I certainly have a lot of fun doing it. So that's how it kind of came about, and until you guys asked us to go on the road, I don't think we were close to doing any album yet. So the improv thing, going on the road and doing improv shows was very rejuvenating, you know. 'Cause it's easy to get into this whole state of mind where when you're doing experimental music, I mean, some of it can be composed, some of it can be improv, but I think improv has a pretty special place. It's a challenge all by itself. Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's it becomes a channel for us to express ourselves there and then exactly how we feel, because we don't normally set any too much guidelines.
Yeah.
Right.
And we don't normally express ourselves.
So especially like when we did improv in for example in Tokyo, or maybe recently in Southeast Asia, it was just like whatever we were feeling at that moment in time was, it's allowed, you can just do anything you want, and we would just go with it, So I think that freedom is what I enjoy in Arcn Templ. For me, actually, there are two shows. One was in Hanoi, and the other is in Ho Chi Minh City. These two are very memorable for me.
Yeah, some shows are memorable for all the wrong reasons. But some, I don't know, it's very strange. It's usually the shows that I really enjoyed are shows where I am able to get into the zone faster. Because it's quite a self-conscious thing when you go on stage, and especially when you're doing improv, you kind of have to channel something, you cannot be too self-conscious. You can't like say, oh, I'm going to make this sound when we start, and then I'm going to do this, and then this. It's really boring when you have to plan it. So I think what was fun, what were the most fun shows were the shows that I didn't really think. I just went into it and got myself into the zone like quite quickly. And when I felt that energy coming from Les also, surprisingly Chiang Mai, even though the equipment was really quite substandard, we were playing on home speakers, I remember Les starting out really fiercely, It was almost as though he's like saying, screw all this, I'm just gonna go for it. And then when I hear that, then I'm like thinking, oh yeah, to hell with it, let's just go, So that was really fun, even though I don't know what the outcome was like. I don't even know whether it was good, but I enjoyed myself. I guess that's the point, When there are no doubts in your mind, I think it usually feels right. And then when you are not doubtful, I guess the audience will sense the energy and the vibe from you as well, I think it all came about when we spoke with the guys in Chod, Dharma and Shaun, that, hey, people are always going to Europe or yearning to go a long distance away.
From this part of the world.
Yeah, at least this part. And then, of course, people in Europe want to come to this part of the world because it's really exotic, right? But for us, we've always looked west for inspiration. Although, as you grow older, you realize less and less, that applies. But for this particular tour, I think all four of us, two of us in Chod and two of us in Arcn Templ, we really wanted to connect the experimental scene. I'm not saying this as in we ourselves want to like connect it, but we want to connect with the experimental scenes in Malaysia, in Thailand, in Vietnam, and then build these bridges. It's not really for culture or anything. It's just so that there is a circuit out there. It's possible to do it if you don't mind it being a little unpredictable, maybe not as comfortable as you would expect on a properly organized tour. But I think it's a decent scene, and there's actually a lot of people, and people are really nice. I mean, I hate to say this, but living in Singapore kind of diminishes your expectations of human behavior.
we're at this point open to take on any place actually. I mean, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar.
Yeah, we just want to complete
Indonesia.
the whole Southeast Asia.
I mean, it's quite a rare area, you know, this area that it's always perceived as not connected and different from each other. And
Yeah.
you know, I think it's about time that people should be able to visit all these places and draw ourselves closer together.
Yeah, and it's not about tourism, and I don't think that we want to go to these places as a tourist. We want to go to these places and as a traveler and as a musician that
Respectfully.
can respectfully, yeah, and create not just sort of like just have an interaction, but create creative or artistic links to these countries, so that it becomes a proper touring circuit, you know, for any kind of musician. You know, it doesn't have to be experimental. But once there's more stuff happening, then when we are here, and likewise we can offer the same thing to Vietnamese musicians or Myanmarese musicians who want to come here. And I think it'd be a really nice opportunity for Singaporeans to listen to music that's coming from Myanmar or Vietnam, as opposed to just listening to music from the States or Europe, or, you know, I mean, not that stuff is bad or you should be discriminating against European music or American music, but there is so much in this region that has not been explored, or connections have not been made, and collaborations are also possible. You know, once you hook up with musicians from overseas, then you find people that you feel, okay, you know, I think this guy would be really, really fun to work with and see what comes out of it. So I feel it's time that we treat it like a proper job, touring musicians, you know, better rough it out and deal with it.
I think we're also not the only ones that have been traveling around this region. I think a lot of other bands in their own small ways have been making connections with Indonesia, or, you know, playing around the region. And
But not many improvised, experimental music.
Yeah.
So it's, I guess, hopefully slowly something would grow.
Do you think you inspire the people that watch you perform in these countries that you have been to?
I hope we do, but I think in the process we actually get inspired ourselves more. First and foremost, we're inspiring ourselves. Whether we inspire other people, I'm not so sure, but I'm sure that they are interested and keen to listen to what a Singaporean experimental group can offer. You know, but it's really not just about that. It's not, for me at least, it's not just about being able to perform or play or express my point of view. I think at the end of the day, it's really about making connections, and then from there maybe new music can come out of it, you know, because I think it's very a bit insular if we're just making music here by ourselves, and then you don't get a different perspective. And I think being overseas in a really strange place with people who can sort of barely understand one another. We can't really understand Vietnamese when they speak Vietnamese, but they speak English lah. But I'm saying that at the end of the day, you're bringing your energy there, and they're giving you the energy. So it becomes, I think becomes a life lesson, and that informs your work in the long run. It's not gonna be so immediate, like on the spot. You know, you get something straight away, instantly gratifying. I don't think it's like that. I think it takes a while. You know.
The album Emanations of a New World is actually inspired by Haw Villa. It's kind of a horror Disney world,
but Chinese version
in Singapore.
You know?
So it's like a theme park. So we all grew up going there when we were younger, and we were all fascinated by it, including the guys from Funk when they did this exhibition. So their artwork drew from from the fact that Singapore was like a Disneyland but with capital punishment. I think someone said that, William Gibson.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so
It was also called Tiger Balm Garden
yeah,
at one point. And when Les and I went there to take some photos for the album, it was actually quite creepy because like it's so derelict and run down that nobody goes there. We went there about 6 o'clock, an hour before it was closed. So the light was really low and it was dusk, and I mean it's creepy, all the paint peeling off. I mean, just for archives information, Haw Villa is like a theme park that illustrates all the different methods of torture should you do anything wrong as a kid or as an adult. So if you tell a lie, they're gonna snip off your tongue, and you know, if you commit adultery, what happens to you?
I don't know.
You get your
something
entrails pulled out or something. I mean, as a kid, you know, this stuff is seriously graphic shit, you know. I mean, you go there when you're 2-3 years old and you see this shit. What were our parents thinking about, you know? I mean, they brought us there because they're like, see, you do this, this is what's going to happen to you. And I used to think, this is bizarre. Why would anyone bring their kids there, you know? But sure enough, all of us have been there at one point, twice, 3 times, scared the shit out of us. But at the same time, we loved it because, you know, kids like to be scared, you know, terrified. So actually, when we're making this album and doing the album artwork, we had to write about experiences as a child, why this park held a special meaning for us. So we went around and we went back to our folks and asked them whether they had any photos of us in this park. So they didn't give us anything, just gave us like albums and say, okay, go look for it, you know. And we did find 2 pictures of us when we were 2 or 3.
older
4?
than that, I think.
4?
6 or 7. For
No,
me,
I
lah.
wasn't that old. You didn't look that old.
Oh,
You were
that
like
was-
so small. And he
okay,
was
maybe I
wearing
was
this
younger.
t-shirt that said Leslie. And bell-bottom pants. It was really funny. And I was on the tiger and my mom was sitting behind me. So it's these 2 pictures of us each when we're young with our mums. With our mothers, looking very young, of course. But it was nice. It's kind of like a trip down memory lane, but in a very warped manner. We were trying to do that. So that was the inspiration for that.